Hello, this is Belinda and
Pedro,
what's the topic for today, baby?
we are going to talk about how difficult it is to have friends when you evolve.
We had a conversation about this earlier, and we were talking about those friends that once they see that you're evolving,
Right?
they become haters or they were ugly. How do you want to label it?
I don't think, well, I want to say that it's not that they become haters, it's that they were haters since the beginning. So then there's those people that are always going to have something negative to say about you, what you're doing, what you're saying. You know, those friends that are very passive aggressive when you do something and they say something.
So like if perfect example, the weight loss lady that you were talking to. She started working out. She told her friend, let's start working out, let's lose weight. She committed, her friend didn't. And her friend started hating on her after a month or so of seeing her lose weight.
Right. Yeah, so things like that. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today, just those friends that are really not your friends and how difficult it is. Especially, and I'm talking about myself when it comes to having friendships, and I go back to when I first started in real estate. I created this beautiful group of ladies that were all my friends, right? I considered them my friends, and I go back and I look at pictures and there's 20, 30 people in a group. And then as I continue to grow, elevate myself, not in a bad way, not because I think that I'm better than anybody else, but the things that I'm doing for myself, for my business, for my family, how I am evolving, I see that now it's a handful of friends, if that, right? So it's crazy because I went back and I started analyzing, and I'm like, okay, well, I had this friend and she was a very close friend, or what I thought a very close friend to me. And I go back and I think about it, and now I'm like, oh, wait. But I remember now that she would tell me
Microaggressions.
right. An example would be like, well, how are you doing it? How are you buying a house? How did you get your dream car now? And I can't do it. So it's like a friend is never going to tell you something like that. A friend is always going to be happy with what you're doing, what you're building for yourself, for your family. So I just think in general, it just makes it very difficult for people to understand that, or for people to be happy for what you're accomplishing in life compared to the way they look at things now. If it is not your turn, it's not your turn. Wait for your turn, but be happy for your friends.
This is our gauge. This is the way we gauge our friends, right? This is the way we gauge the people that we're allowing to come into our life. Or this is how we've gauged people leaving or being excluded from our circles, right? That we see the microaggressive, the passive aggressive comment, and at that point we're like, okay, you're done. Like, we don't have a falling out, we don't get dramatic. It's, you know what, I no longer want to hang around you,
Right.
And we just distance ourselves. There's no conflict and drama, and no.
And you feel the vibes. Like me with my friends, I'm all about the vibes. If the vibe is not there, I don't have anything against you, but we're just not going to be friends. And I think that's what it comes down to. Now, friends as in my circle, we're not going to be friends.
Yeah, because there's an acquaintance, right? We can have an acquaintance, but then our friends get invited to our home, and that's you had a very good story about it, where your friend, your quote unquote friend that you started in real estate, or even in high school, or your neighbor, right? Somebody that started off with you or has been with you for a very long time, the minute that you start evolving, right? The minute that you start elevating to becoming healthier, wealthier, happier, just evolving into a better person all around, you start noticing that they start making passive aggressive comments. Oh, you don't want to hang out with us anymore, or you think you're too good for us.
Right. And that's just not friends, that's family at times too. Like, oh, he thinks or she thinks that he's too good for us now, right? Because he's doing good, or because she's doing good. And that's not the case. You want to be surrounded with people that are going to get you to be the best. Like, what I'm trying to say is get the best out of you, but the actual best out of you, not in a bad way, but how do I continue to grow? How do I become a better person? I want to learn from you or my friend or my family member. But this is what evolving comes down to. It feels very weird. I'm sorry that you're on this side. I can't.
Do you want me to switch?
No, it's fine. But it's not that I don't want to look at you. It's just that I can't.
No, I've got a friend, and I will call him a friend, and I've got a cousin that they both have done, I think, a year without drinking, and they don't post every day, but they post that they stopped drinking, and I think it's equally important when you see somebody doing good things to tell them, hey man, you're doing really good. Like, I'm proud of you. I know it's not easy. And the last time I saw Tofu, he was built and he stopped drinking a year prior to that. And this is a guy that's in the party scene, in the club scene. He's a promoter. He's a restaurant owner. He's done a lot. And he chose not to drink alcohol anymore. For whatever reason, he chose not to. Right. And it's been for the best. So I told him, you look good. Good. Like that's an awesome thing. Then you have that dick friend that, come on, man, just have one beer. Come on, just one shot with me, right? And he probably maybe would have done it. And for what, right? Not that he would have done it just to make somebody happy or whatever. It's not that. It's what kind of person am I when I see somebody that's doing well to be that stumbling block for them.
Right. So that's why it's important to have that core group of people close to you, those that are going to help you fill your cup up at all times and not drain it.
So what are your red flags when it comes to what should somebody look out for or what do you look out for? Let me put it that way.
Well, because we had a full hour conversation about this before this, and in reality, I like to be very, very honest. We recorded and it didn't work. We had already talked about this, and before I didn't know. Now, that I went back and I analyzed, right? Because why is it that my friends are no longer my friends? Why is it, obviously, I removed myself from the situation. I removed myself from the friendship where I see them and, oh, hey, bye, whatever, right? But up until before me analyzing everything, I just couldn't understand why. But it's because some of these people are really not your friends. They were never your friends to begin with. They're your haters. They really are. And those are the ones that make those passive aggressive comments to where, how do you do this? But not in a good way, because I haven't been able to do that. So how is it that I work harder than you?
Well, there's a healthy way to say it too, right? It's like, hey, I admire what you're doing. I think
can you help me?
Can you help?
How am I going to grow?
What do you think I should be doing? And the crazy thing is, though...
Well, now I'm not going to do it for free either. Well, before, they had their opportunity. Now I'll coach you, but it's going to cost you.
And they're still selling in the same price point, right? You help them build their business, and they started, for years they were doing... the entry level 160,000, 140,000. Well, now the new entry level is 220, 240, and they're still doing the same thing. The demographic is still the same, but they asked you for help and you helped them for free, and it's not free anymore. which isn't a bad thing because you're giving yourself value.
Right.
But don't miss those opportunities when you if you consider yourself a friend, and if you've got a good friend, you should be happy for them when good things happen. When
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and we talked about that one-upper friend too. Those are the ones that if you buy a pair of shoes, they bought a better pair of shoes.
Oh, that's from last season, right? That was from last season. I'm buying a new truck. I'm buying a new truck this year. Oh, I'm going to wait till next year because a new model's coming out next year.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even have it yet.
So I just don't understand why can't, I don't know guys, but I'm talking in general to the ladies. Why can't we just be happy for each other? Why can't we just help each other? You know how powerful we are if we just help each other grow?
Do you think it's biological? Do you think that because we're big believers in the whole hunter-gatherer, the woman administers the home, and I think we heard a podcast about this where women, they're very territorial in the sense of they want to go after what another person has or what another woman has.
Well, that comes, I think that's the same thing, what we're talking about, the friends. Like, so sometimes you're going to have friends where they want to be like you, which that's great. But then there's other friends that don't want to be like you. It's more of, I want what you have. And it doesn't matter what it takes.
Or I don't want you to have more than I have.
That too. I want you to have,
yeah,
but not more than me.
I want you to do
I
good.
want you to grow,
yeah,
but don't grow more than me.
Or don't outgrow me.
Right. So I think that's very toxic of them. It's very toxic of those people to think that way. And it is very unfortunate because I've seen it time and time again. Those people that think that way, unfortunately, they're going to grow, but up to a certain point, a certain level, and then they don't grow anymore.
Right.
And the reason is because of their ugly thoughts, their ugly behavior, and that's what you get. I'm a firm believer that life is going to give you what you give life. So whatever you put out there, that's exactly what you're going to receive.
Right. And I made the joke earlier, and I still think it's funny that somebody that you know very well, una vez te dijo a ti, and she told you looking down on you. It wasn't in a nice way. She told you looking down. ¿A qué niveles?
No, but it wasn't just aquí hay niveles. Aquí hay niveles. Tú estás aquí y yo estoy aquí.
And what happens when somebody believes that they're better than somebody else, especially in that ugly way? Where is she now and where are you now? Well,
I mean, there is niveles, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's very bad. Like, si yo me pusiera al tú por tú, right? And my response would be the same. I would be ugly.
Right.
But that's not my personality and not who I am. But I think that's a very hard lesson learned because now you see me. Now you know exactly where I'm at. Now you know what I do, what I was able to accomplish, right? And now I see you. La vida da muchas vueltas.
You see chaos, and it not only happens, I mean, she's a prime example of somebody that believes that they're superior, right? Or
right.
at that point.
And you should never think that you're better than anybody else. However, I always tell everybody, I never think that I'm better than anybody else. However, I don't think that anybody else is better than me.
Yep.
And the reason why I say that is because I am my own person. There's nobody out there like me.
What's your comment? We all eat the same, we all bleed the same, we all blink the same, and we all die the same.
Right.
Right. So
because at the end of the day, we're the same. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you don't have. Yes, life is easier with money. Of course it is. But at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Okay. So because we're on the 15-minute mark, and we're going to try to keep all of our podcasts under 20 minutes, shedding light, what is a good way to approach someone in your eyes? Okay, so that's a shitty friend, a toxic friend, a hater friend, right? That automatically envies you. For you, if someone wants to be close to you and you see that they admire you, or just turn it around, there's someone that you admire. There's another woman that you admire.
I personally tell them.
Right.
So if it's someone, and this is the
that
thing.
you look up to, because
right.
you can say you look up to.
If it's someone that I look up to, I genuinely tell them that I think they're doing a phenomenal job, that I look up to them, congratulate them, because I think that's very nice. I think it's nice to be able to communicate that to somebody else that's because everything takes a lot of work. So if you see that person at the top of the mountain, it's because they've worked very hard to get there. So it's nice when you're on the other side and you're up there and somebody's telling you, hey, I see you.
Right.
You're doing really good. Hey, you know what? You're doing really good. One day, I want to be you, not you, right?
Right.
But
I want to be where you're at.
I want to be
reach
right.
that level.
So then, I think that's nice to do that. I think it's just nice to genuinely approach someone and tell them, like, I want to learn from you, or I admire you.
So your friend group is really, really small, and you told me that you want to grow that group of women that are on, to be honest, to be on your level, right? You've got a really close friend, right? We talk about Azucena all the time. With her, how should she approach you when you're fucking up? Or when it's something that she believes it's not right, how would you like that? What's, to you, in your eyes, what is a healthy way of saying?
Well, I think it's a little bit different with her and I, because the relationship is there. So it doesn't matter whichever way she approaches me.
So you're past that barrier already,
yeah,
right? She can say, hey, you quit being a fucking idiot.
Right.
You know you're fucking up. You know you're messing up.
Yeah, and we know each other so much that she already knows when I'm upset, or I already know when she's upset, and we know, okay, when to take a step back, and it's not the right time for me to say things. Just like when you're in a relationship with a husband, your boyfriend, it's so crazy, but it's the same thing, because we know each other so much that we have a beautiful relationship, that I know when she's irritated, I know when she's upset, and I take a step back, like, okay, I'm going to give her space.
Right.
And whenever I'm ready, I'm going to talk to her and explain to her what I wanted to explain to her, and vice versa. It works the same way. I think at this point, she knows me very well, and I've seen where she takes a step back, and then we go back the next day or an hour later, and we talk on what we needed to talk about.
Okay, and the reason I asked that is, so you're explaining, you come in to be a friend or somebody close to me, but there's a trial period there where you've shared all the good and all the bad with her,
right.
And she's passed that litmus test of the type of person she is and the type of person you are.
We're very different.
You're very past not being friends anymore, because number one, she knows that your best interest is her best interest, and you know her best interest is your best interest.
Right.
When she goes through something, you go through something.
Right.
And vice versa. So you get past that period to now okay, I started off with 30 friends, I'm down to one true friend, right?
I mean, I have friends, right? But Azucena is, I consider her more like my family. She's a sister to me.
Shit, I don't consider some family my family, even though we talked about that. But it goes back to that, is loyalty. So you have loyalty, she has loyalty towards you, and it's very healthy, and it's a good thing.
And this is where we both learned that, and I think the maturity has to be there. We became friends maybe like 12 years ago, and of course we were younger, but I think the level of maturity and respect, mutual respect for each other, had to be there at all times for us to be friends for this long period. And it's a friendship. I have friends from high school that we've been friends over 30 years, and it's not, we don't talk every day, right? So it's a different type of friendship. The friendship is there. We've never gone in a fight. We don't talk bad about each other. Everybody does their life, and then when it's time to catch up, we catch up. But this is a different relationship because we talk to each other almost every day.
But what I've seen from the time that I've known both of you, which is about the same amount of time, from what I've seen just from the outside in, and we didn't even plan on talking about this, but I think that the friendship is so strong because both of you grew, and both of you didn't agree to grow together, but
right.
Both of you grew, right? Because if she had decided to stay working at the bank, you would still be her friend,
right.
But not how you are now. But she took a blind leap of faith and followed you and said, okay, just like you take, faith in her.
Right. But we actually became friends. So we were working at a bank together. We were at the same location. And it's so crazy because we would see each other every day. But our relationship didn't really grow until I moved from that location to a different location. And then that's when we became inseparable.
But you grew together as friends. And there was never any animosity, never any hate there.
No.
Whereas when you have a friend now, and I said this earlier, you want to test your friendship? Tell your friends some good news.
I honestly think it's because we were always very honest with each other since the beginning. So when we had something, it was great, right? And we talked and discussed about it. But when we didn't, we also talked about it.
Yeah. See,
and I think that's very important because I'm not just giving her my wins and in my perfect life, right? I am being an open book because she gained that trust.
Right.
That now she not only gets to see all my wins, but she also gets to see my losses, the struggles, what it took, what it takes on a daily basis. So I think that's where for the most part, I think that's where we grew respect for each other.
And I know on my end, I had a very, very close friend, and that's what I was saying is when you give somebody good news, see what they say. I remember when you and I started dating, I told this friend, I'm like, hey, I think we're going to start a relationship. And she automatically said, oh, that's great, and that's awesome. What if you become a millionaire? And, oh my God. And
but it was, what if you become a millionaire? Because she saw the potential in you, and she saw the potential in me.
Right.
So that becomes, and again, I go back to the same thing. What did it become? A threat.
Right.
And it shouldn't, because if you're really my friend, you're happy for me.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I become rich, a millionaire, or whatever it is.
Right. And so going back to that, it was, if you have a friend and you can tell them your wins and you can argue with them, and I did this with my friend. I pulled them apart, both of them, and I said, hey, you're fucking up. This is what's happening in your business, and it's not a good thing. And they're like, okay, cool. And then months later, hey guys, like, you're messing up, like something's wrong. And I would tell them what's wrong, and you're gonna start losing people. And I had to go. I had given them the opportunity. I had told them where I was at, what I saw from the outside in. They chose not to grow, and it's a cycle because every, few months, whatever, there's an exodus of people that leave, and they leave, and they leave. And I was one of those because I needed to grow. And thankfully, I made the right choice. And
it doesn't matter. Like, you can have loyalty towards someone and still leave and do something different. And whoever it is should be happy for you. I am never going to. So I think we were, Susan and I were talking about it earlier. We have 4 people in our team. If somebody comes and says, hey, I want to grow, I no longer want to be part of this team, I cannot get mad. Well, I'm going to be happy because I want that person. That's really what we want at the end of the day. We are looking out for each other. And if your growth is not going to happen here, it's going to happen somewhere else, Go right ahead.
I think that you're able to, especially in work, and we'll talk about personal in a minute, but I always look at the end of everything. It's just my morbid curiosity. I always look towards the end. Whenever I hire on an agent to be on my team, one of the very first conversations is going to be, I'm here for you. We're going to grow together. But this relationship will ultimately come to an end. And when it does, I'm going to approach you, or you're going to approach me and say, hey, Pedro, you know what? It's been great. I learned a lot. Thank you very much. I want to continue to grow more, and I'm going to leave. That, to me, is somebody that's ethical and respectful and appreciated the friendship and the relationship that we have. And I'm going to say, God bless. I hope everything goes well for you. If you ever need anything, I'm here. And if it doesn't work out, the doors are always open. Cool. God bless. And they're off. That is a healthy approach, right? That's a good way of seeing things.
Right.
Versus, after everything I did for you and after everything that I taught you, now you're going to leave, and don't you think that you're going to... No, it's not about that. It's about, how can I be upset that
that sounds more like a divorce.
Well, no,
because of like what after everything I did.
Right.
Like,
but there,
I hear that time and time again.
What did your friend tell you? And your work friend.
And it's so crazy that people feel that they do things for you. No, we helped each other along the way, because that's our destiny. That was life, right? But you put in your work as much as I put in the work.
Yeah.
So you did not go and knock doors for me, right? I did it myself. Right. So it's never you should never look at it as after what I did for you. Right. Is we did it for each other, because it was our destiny to learn together, to grow together, and then each one go their own way.
Yeah. And it slightly in there is the parenting, where how are you going to be upset because your child wants to move out already? Hey, they're 21 years old, they're 22 years old, they've got their career, they're doing good things. It's okay for your kids to move out, right? If that's you're not here to raise full-grown children, you're here to raise kids. And I know we deviated a little bit from that, but you should want the best.
A lot.
Well, you should. Ultimately, what we're saying is you should want the best for people that you consider friends. And if your friends don't consider what you're doing the best for you,
then they're not
your fucking friends. You gotta fucking go. And I think that's what the message we were trying to get across as.
It is so difficult to have good, genuine friends when you evolve, even in the process. That's really what it comes down to.
And it gets lonely, and it gets hard, because now you've got boundaries.
And it gets super lonely. I know Pedro didn't want me to say it this way because it sounds a certain way, but
take it however you want to take it. Right?
Yeah, at this point, take it however you want to take it. But on my end, the way I see it is, it gets very lonely. It is, yes, you're making the money, you have the businesses, you're doing everything to elevate yourself for a better future for yourself and your family, your children. But at the end of the day, it's very hard, because as humans, we always tend to compete with each other instead of looking out for each other. And this is why I say it gets lonely, because it's very difficult to trust.
Well, you said it, I think even, you softened it up a little bit, because earlier you said it gets lonely at the top, or it's lonely at the top.
Right, it is lonely at the top.
And you want to grow that. And
I want people up here with me. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Something different, but something like that.
Yeah. No, and it was harsh, but it's true. It is the reality.
And it doesn't mean that I'm saying that I'm better than anybody else, because since the beginning I said I don't think I'm better than anybody else, but I do not think that anybody else is better than me either. We are all very different and genuine. Everybody's different. Pedro is very different. His mindset is very different than mine. I am very different. My friends are very different. Everybody is their own person.
And I'll say it now, just because, and I always thought about it with something that Cat Williams said, and he's been in the news lately, is I don't fuck with guys that keep doing the same thing they were doing last year. If you were celebrating at a club last year for your birthday, don't invite me this year, because I'm not doing that. I only want to fuck with people that are doing better and better and better and better and better. And there is nothing wrong with that. People say, well, now just because now you have money, now you forget where you come from. No, motherfucker. It's not that. It's remember to be loyal, but remember to be loyal to yourself before you're loyal to anybody else.
Right. So, I remember where I come from, but where I come from no longer serves me. What serves me is what's in front of me.
Right.
Because that's where I'm going.
And I think we'll end it on that note. Unless there's anything else, Mama?
No, I think that's it.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.